How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video, and a new one for the Cube Draft videos for the series. So it's been a while since I've had Cube Draft, because with the Archetype videos I ended up having to completely reboot from scratch my my Mac, and ended up losing my all my slides and stuff, and set up for the Archetype videos. So I'll try and rebuild those to get back the rest that I have missed off. But I thought one thing that'd probably be helpful as well for anybody who actually watches the series and enjoys cube drafting is do some updates regarding potential cards from each new set to add to the cube draft. So with this one, this one will start off with set 13, and I'm going to go over some cards in each color that are good to add to the cube draft if you're looking to update it with each new set, because I'll be always updating my cube draft with this, and if people don't want to copy the exact same list I've got, because that's the one I put up on the cube draft group, then they've got this information to give out for potential cards as well, because this is all cards that I feel are really good additions. So starting off, we'll go by colour. So we'll start off with red. The first one for red is the two specified cost unison for red, the Mass and Adventure from Different Never Dimension. This is a good one to replace. I feel like, well, one of the unisons in there, mainly Roshi. I feel the Roshi unison, because it's a good one in the fact that because of its +1, not the rest of the effect, the +1. Well, even the -2 is quite decent. The permanent you don't have to worry about, because it's never going to gain. It's only during your turn. It doesn't gain enough. It's never going to gain enough of a boost to matter. You need to have at least 5 or 6 red Saiyans on board to make it matter, which is not always going to be the case. But its +1 effect is place up to one Saiyan card with energy cost of place up to one, of your red Saiyan cards with energy cost of 1 in your drop area from your deck. Shove your deck and draw 1 card. So this is basically the same. For the cube draft, this is the same as the Piccolo Junior's unison, where it's just +1, draw 1 card. You don't, like, if you want to mill something so you can deck fin, it's fine. That's a good option if you want to. But it's mainly the draw one, because it's the sending a Saiyan is an up to. And then the -2 is pretty handy in the fact that you draw 1, then choose all of your red Saiyan cards with energy cost of 3 or less, and they gain 5,000 power for the turn. So this is a good way to kind of give your board a boost. And there's red Saiyan cards as well. Well, with energy cost of 3 or less, so it doesn't hit the leader, which is unfortunate. But still, giving your board a if you've got quite a few red Saiyans with 3 costs or less, a 5k boost for the turn is pretty good. It's even in cube draft, and there's quite a few good options as well in the cube. And this combination with Pan, you can give potentially an extra k to your board as well, which is quite nice. So this is one I would replace the Roshi Unison for to put this in, because it's a lot more useful getting the draw for the +1. And then we have the Buttock, Pride of a Low-Caste Warrior. So this is another 1-drop, one that allows you to self-awaken if you need to, because it's just it's got 2 autos. The first one being add a card from your life to your hand. When this card attacks, it gets 11,000 power for the battle, so it means it's a 15k swing that helps you take a life as well, which is handy. Then it does have the Ever Auto of that could come in handy, because there are a few red Saiyan leaders, because if your leader is a red Saiyan card and you have 2 or more energy when this card deals damage by attacking, switch this card to active mode, look at the 7 cards from top of your deck, add up to 1 Bardock's crew card with energy cost of 1 among them, then shuffle your deck. The card you play with the skill, and this card can attack for the turn. So that one can go off. There's not many, I don't think there's any, because it doesn't specify a colour for the Bardock's crew, but it's got to be a 1 cost, and there are ever 1 cost Bardock's crew on this list. But I don't think there's any in blue in the cube, because they're not that useful. They require certain stuff, but it's mainly a good addition for the first auto. But there is a chance that you can pull off the second auto. You can always have a look if you do that, and if you've got a red Saiyan leader, and if you find one, the other ones have beneficial effects when they play. I think there's a draw 1 and a search as well. This is a good option to have, and never a self-awakener in red as a 1-drop. Then we got Chain Attack Fascia. So this is another one of the Bardock's crew cards. It's got a permanent that could come in handy, because it's it's bond free, so it itself includes 2 other cards that are either red Saiyan cards and or Buttock's crew cards, and it gives this card 11k, making it 15k, which is good for a 1-drop, and that can be pulled because the Buttock's crew doesn't have to be red. It's got to have the Buttock's crew tag, which there are some of the Buttock's crew apes. You can have this with blue red apes, and there's our red Saiyan cards in this that can help trigger like some easy 1-drops and stuff. I cannot pull it off, so you can essentially have this for a 15k swing if you've got enough. But it's mainly in there because of this auto of when this card is played, you've got the 5 cards on top of your deck, add up to 1 Buttock's crew card with energy cost of 5 or less, so that helps you search for the 8 cards, because you can search all the Buttock's crew cards in there because they only got to 5 cost or less. Or up to 1 red unison with a specified cost of 2 among them to your hand and shuffle your deck. So this is really good to help as another searcher for red unison cards. I know there's the Piccolo in there as well, to help you try and find your red 2-cost unisons, because I think all the unisons in this in the red color are all just 2 specified cost. Or is a helpful thing to go for like a kind of red-blue Buttock's crew if you want to. Next we have Chain Attack Boros, same permanent as Fascia that can be Boros to make it a 15k, and it's a nice little cantrip of when this card is played, draw 1 card. So this is as we go into newer sets, we get better cantrips that have ever effects like this. Like there's everyone's in there. Like there's I think it's the Gohan Youth from set 6, I think, or set 7. All I know it says a wilderness training Son Gohan. It's just a cantrip where when you play a Sky draw 1, it's got no effects, it's just when you play it, draw 1 card. And these kind of new cantrips you're getting would replace those, because they do exactly the same thing, but they've got an extra effect. Like this can do exactly the same, play it, draw 1 card, but then also be a 1-drop 15k if you can fulfill the permanent bond free effect. So as we go on further and further, any cantrips that just play it, draw 1 will be replaced with ones that have other effects as well to give more options. Then we have some new, every color in the cube, in this one, got updates to their skillless cards, and for red, we've got a Son Goten and Trunks, which is good because it mainly replaced some of the mono, like the skillless cards that either just Saiyan or just Earthling, because these cover both Saiyan and Earthling, so you've got more options there. It provides more options in just 1 card than over multiple cards. And also they help support the Goten, Trunks and Gotenks stuff. Like if you have the blue 4-drops from set 3 or 4 that has critical, and you can sack himself off to search for a Goten and Trunks from your deck and untap 2 energy. This gives this an option to go in. This allows you that archetype to go in multiple colors, because I know it's in green, it's in blue, and it's in red as well. And I think there's some Goten and Trunks is in yellow as well. I know there's definitely Goten, but I'm not sure about Trunks. As Trunks Youth anyway. But these are good. These are helpful replacements for skillless replacements for. I can't remember which ones I would replace from it. You'll see in the list when I put up on the Cube Draft group if you're watching this in part of the group as well. But these are good skillless cards that to replace some ones to cover more options and add to another existing archetype as well. Then we got the last of the red cards being SS Sngoku, the Legend Personified. So once again, this is another cantrip that just basically replaces older cantrips, because it has extra effects rather than just draw 1 card when it's played. It's got unique as well, which doesn't matter in the cube because it's a Highlander cube. 1-drop when this card is played, draw 1 card. It's got activate main, which is why it's going to be replaced, which is going to be really handy, which helps replace it being the older cantrips. Which is activate main, bond free once per turn. So bond free means you just need 2 other cards, including itself on the board. Doesn't need a specified trait or anything, just 2 other battle cards. And it's if your opponent has 3 or more energy, so it's a good late game cantrip. This card gets 21,000 power until the end of your next main phase. So for 1 energy, you get a draw, so replace itself. And if you have 2 or more battle cards on the field on the board, and your opponent has 3 or more energy, for 1 energy you get a 25k beat stick, which is pretty handy. So this is a really good cantrip for the cube, and gives more options as well for like cheaper beat sticks at the end. But that's all for the red. And now onto the blue. We have the first blue one. We have is Son Gohan Unbelievable White. So this is a 4-cost blocker, 15k. It's got an auto. If when this card is played, use up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less, ignoring barrier, and place it at the bottom of its deck. So this is a good way to bottom deck those deadly defenders that are in the cube that could be annoying, or anything that's 3 cost or less, ignoring barrier, because it just basically gives blue more barrier interaction, and also does what blue should be doing anyway, which is bottom decking stuff and not adding it back to hand. And there is a cheaper way to play this out as well, rather than just hard cast it for 4, which is the activate main, which requires 1 blue energy. And if your leader is mono blue, so you've got 6 different leaders in my list to play this with, and you have a blue skillless battle card with energy cost 2 in play, which there's I think 4 different skillless blue cards and a lot of skillless support in the cube. You play it from your hand. So if you're playing skillless or even blue skillless, which is going to be more of a thing with this this update, you can play this for 1 energy and bottom deck stuffing. As long as you play it, it's like this opens up more options for playing mono in the cube, and a good option for mono blue with skillless as well. And the next one we've got is Vegeta Energy Fortification. Like the auto is non-existent, it can't be triggered in the cube because it requires a specific leader that isn't good for the cube. It's more about its counter attack being a 1 cost with a counter attack, and you get the attack player's card. So it's never Roshi, and it's so it gives a never negate that's also combo power as well, which is good. These are pretty good autos, and there's not many in the cube. I think there's 2 Roshis, and can't remember if there's another one, but it just gives, this is a really good one to replace some whatever 1-drops that aren't. It's just good for a 1-drop, being a negate for 1 energy, and then you can use it for combo power as well. And also as well, it helps with the another way to bring out the Soaring Blows Vegeta. If you have a Goku already on board, you can negate an attack with this during your turn. And if you've got a Goku on board, you can just free play it over to rather than use your energy. Then we got Super Saiyan Trunks, once again another skillless card, and this time for blue. This will replace I think I can't remember what some was place, but just like the Goten and Trunks, it covers Saiyan and Earthling, and also helps with the future Trunks archetype. There's a small archetype in the cube that can help with mono blue or multicolour, because there's some future Trunks future cards in yellow. But it helps with the future Trunks archetype in the fact that you can play this off the Tapion Unison, and also if you have the Tapion Unison in play and your opponent swings, you can +1 it to play a free 20k skillless on board. And then this also helps improve blue skillless, like mono blue skillless in the cube as well, as an option if you want to go mono, because that's what I want to make sure for the cube, that we that it gets improved to be able to allow multicolors, tricolor, like any different combinations. So if you want to go mono, it's a possibility. If you want to go dual, it's a really good possibility. And if you want to go tri and quad color, it's optional as a possibility as well. Okay, I'm tempted to put in the 9-cost Goku from Draft Box 5 to kind of reward. I was like, put like a reward in for people if people want to try and go quad color, because I know people have before in my cube drafts tried quad color before, and it's worked out not too bad for them, not amazing, but not too bad, and I give them an extra incentive to try it. And then another one to help with blue skillless is Yamcha Hub Abandon. This is a 1-drop, it's like kind of a cantrip. Just when it's played, you add up to 1 blue skillless battle card with energy cost of 2 from your deck to your hand and shuffle your deck. So this is essentially a searcher for blue skillless to help with that archetype as well. And replace, I can't remember which one I choose to replace, but it's just a nice 1-drop that grabs you a blue skillless. So it helps with the skillless support if you're having blue as part of it, or just mono blue skillless if you have it. And then we have the last of the battle cards for blue, being Vegeta the Cruel. Once again, as I said, this is a cantrip that is going to replace the cantrips that just draw a card and do nothing else, because it's got beneficial effect. And that beneficial effect is activate battle once per turn. By paying 1 energy, it gains 11k power and double strike until the start of your next main phase. So this means for 1 energy, this means you can have now a cantrip that will, for an extra energy, becomes a 15k double striker and keeps that power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So unlike the things like Saiyan Cab and stuff that take a life, this doesn't need to take a life to spend energy, and also unlike those, it keeps the boost until the start of your next main phase. So it's a really nice cantrip. Then the last blue card we have is Champ to the Rescue. So this is the counter-attack extra card negate, and this is a really helpful one as well because it puts it puts attacks on your opponent's resources. Basically I'll read out first. So counter-attack, negate the attack, then you or your opponent may choose one of their cards in active mode, switch to rest mode. If they don't, add this card to your hand from your drop area, and you can activate the counter skill on copies of this card for a turn. So basically, you can't use the attack, you can't use it multiple times in a turn. So you just negate the attack, and then basically put a condition on your opponent where do they want to tap a card. If they don't want to tap a card, then you get this back to use it again in the next turn, or they can tap a card and you don't get this back. Either they tap something down, be it energy, field card, battle card, leader, or to stop you from getting it back. But if they don't, you get it back. So if they're trying to kill you, they'll probably tap something down. They'll stop you, or they'll just leave you to have it back, which gives you an extra card for like a discard or something, or things like that. Or if they can't kill you that turn, they might tap something down and stop you from getting it back, a free card. But it's really good negate in the fact that if your opponent doesn't want to tap something down because they think they can kill you, then they're just you get the card back. Or you force them to tap something down to get it back. And if they're tapped out as well, and you negate the last attack, you get this back straight away because they can't tap anything down, which is really good. So it's like a nice recurable negate, which is handy. Now onto the green, we have Shield, Let the Battle Begin. This is a very good card. It's got multiple skills. Effects is a free cost 19k. It's got deflect, so it means even though there's not many counter plays, it can't be stopped by counter plays, which is handy. And it's got a permanent, which reduces the cost by if your opponent has 2 or more energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. So once your opponent hits 2 energy, you can place for 2, and it does a lot for 2 energy as well. First being its auto, when this card is played, you play 2 Chilled Army tokens with 1000 power. Like the Chilled Army tokens don't have combo power, but still getting 2 tokens with 10k power. When your opponent's not awakened, if your opponent has the leader like Hercule or Bulma, you put a lot of pressure on. Because those leaders are very strong in the fact that they can accumulate a lot of advantage at the cost of being weaker than the other leaders. And then we have the Activate Battle of once per turn. You can place 1 card from your life in your drop area as a cost. You choose 2 of your Chilled Army tokens and they gain 10,000 power and blocker for the turn. So this is really strong in the fact that it gives you an option of self-awakening. Sure, you don't get the card to your hand, but you at least help yourself awaken, so it helps with those leaders that can't awaken themselves. And it gives you for 2 energy, because you're mainly going to be playing this. That's the earliest you can be playing is turn after your opponent's had turn 2 for 2 energy. You get a 19k attacker and either 2 10k swings or 2 20k swings or 2 20k blockers. And that's a lot of power in such a little amount of energy. Then we have another cantrip, another improved cantrip, being Frieza, Demolisher of Planet Vegeta. Has an auto. It has the first auto is just cantrip that play draw 1. The other auto can be played. It's less likely, but there are some fill cards in green. So it's for auto 2 green. Choose 1 green extra card with energy cost of 2 or less in the fill skill in your battle area and place it in the drop area. When this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards and KO them. And this gains 16,000 power and double strike until the end of your opponent's next turn. Now, this is helpful in the fact that it helps with Frieza's army, the golden Frieza leader in yellow, by being a Frieza's army 1-drop cantrip. So you can, if you play yellow green for that leader, you've got another option card to use for its effect to sack off to untap and draw, and is a cantrip as well, and also has the can be helpful in mono green. I think there are 3 field cards in the cube. There's the M2, there's M2, what's it called? The healing pod, and I think there is another filled one drop filled green fill card. I can't remember what it is. I need to, if I remember, I'll mention it. But there's options to use those. Like the M2 gives you a token, which is handy for combo power or swinging. And both the fill cards are very, very powerful. One being a way to get rid of cantrips and get you a draw. and the other one allows you to get a lot of draw if you draft correctly. But this will allow you to give you a board wipe if you have one of those fill cards, because it's 2 or less. So this is a nice way to have mono green, have a fill board wipe, or even if you're playing multicolor and have 3 green open, you can get a board wipe for that, and a 20k double striker. It's really handy. Then we have Sngoku Allies of Heart. This is another one. This is one that helps out the Krillin archetype in the cube. Like, there's a lot of 4-cost Krillins in green that allow you to bring out the 5-cost Goku from Clash of Fates that's in the cube. Now you run up, you can trigger all effects. It's got deflect for 2 costs with deflect, 2 green, so it means you need to be heavily invested in green. The first auto is place a card. The first auto is what you're going to be mainly using to this card for. It's really strong. Place 1 card from your life and you drop it. So once again, just like the shield, you're self-awakening. While you're not getting the card to your hand, you're still self-awakening for leaders that don't self-awaken. When you play this card from your hand, play up to 1 green Krillin card with energy cost of 4 and the blocker skill from your deck, or drop area, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So this is really handy. It's got to be played from hand, so there's no shenanigans of bringing it back from the drop and then bringing out something then. So just 2 energy from the hand, and you can play, and it's nice that you've got the option to play it from drop or deck if you want to. And I think all the 4 drop Krillins, apart from the Deadly Defender one, have blocker. And there's the one that can become a 2 drop and one that pops. So either you bring out one that pops one of your opponent's battle cards and has blocker, or one that comes out, discards 1 and draws 2, which is really handy and has blocker. It was a really handy skill. And the other auto, which requires 2 green, is when one of your green Krillin cards with entry cost of 4 is KO'd, play it to 1 mono green Sngoku card with entry cost of 5 from your deck, or drop area on top of this card with its skills and get it for the turn, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So this is really handy. Normally you're not going to want to trigger this if you have the Goku in your hand. If you have the Goku in your hand, it's great, you just gotta let the Krillin die and play it from your hand. But if, say, you don't have it in your hand, or it's in your deck somewhere, or you've milled it and it's in your drop, or you discarded it for some reason, you can play it from there. Even if it gets a skill negated, you're still playing for 2 energy on top of that. On top of this card, a 5-cost double strike, 5-cost 25k double striker for your next turn, which is really handy. Next we have Berry Blue Frieza Divisor. So this is another 1-drop. That's same with the Frieza. It's a handy one for golden Frieza. In green, it also has a nice auto. You're never going to trigger the activate main because there's no 2-cost fill cards in the cube. There's only 1 cost. But his auto is really handy when it's played. Look at the top 7 cards from the deck. Add up to 1 green unison with a specified cost of 2, or up to 1 green extra card with the field skill among them to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So it's really nice to have a searcher for things like Planet M2 or Healing Pod. Like, just having a searcher for Healing Pod is really good if you draft these 2 together. And even then, it gives you the option to look for some green unisons that specify cost of 2, which, from off the top of my head, there are 2 in the cube. There's the Vegeta one, and I forget the other. But there are some green unisons specific cost 2 that are good and searchable from this. So but it's mainly, one of the best things about it is just being a searcher of Healing Pod, which is a really, really strong card in the cube, as many of the people who've played in my cube drafts will attest to. Then we have Chi-Lai, so once again, another skillless support. This replaces, I can't remember which one in green, I think it's the Gohan from Draft Box 3, because it gives a helpful one to, it gives a heroine skillless card, and also, once again, more support for Frieza's army, helping with the Golden Frieza leader, because that one requires, it's harder to build in cube, because it requires certain battle cards, like Frieza's army ones, to keep the effect going, and this is a good option to go with skillless in it as well, because it goes with the Limo as well. If you have a Chi-Lai card at 1-drop, once again, this is just a cantrip, but also is skillless as well, because there's an effect of when this card is played. Actually, no, it won't get skillless in the cube, so it's just a 1-drop cantrip, but then again, it's Frieza's army card to help as well with the Golden Frieza lead. Then we have the last green card being Shield the Assailant. This is a really strong card. It's got 2 uses, so it's a free cost 20k with Deflect. So the first way you can use it is either removal, which is his first activate main of 2 green, discard this card from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost less than or equal to the number of cards in their hand, ignoring barrier and kill it. So this is good barrier removal in green, and also can hit almost anything depending, because all you need to do is pay the 2 green, discard this, and you can KO anything on your opponent's board. And this has got indestructible, which I don't think anything in the cube has indestructible. That is equal to or less than, it has its cost equal to or less than the number of cards in your opponent's hand. And if your opponent's got not many cards in hand, then you're doing good. You're winning on their advantage. But if they've got a load of cards in hand, and you've got something big on the board, you're just basically removing it. And it's just nice to have something in green go for barrier for destruction. And then the other way to use it is as is multiple attacks, because its first auto is when this guy's played, you play 2 Chilled Army tokens with 10k power, which is good. So you get for free energy, you get 3 battle cards, 20k and 2 10ks, and then you can use an activate main, his second one, for free. But once per turn, choose up to 2 of your Chilled Army's tokens, and they gain 5,000 power for the turn. So basically, this card is either removing something through barrier for 2 energy, or for free energy, you're getting 3 battle cards to swing with, 20k and 2 15ks, which puts a lot of pressure on, especially for such little cost as well. So both the chill cards are very strong. Now we get onto the yellow cards. So the first one we have is some anti-discard in yellow. So it's a young Gohan Trustana, a cantrip, because his second auto is when this card's played, draw 1. But once again, repeating myself, any cantrip that just has draw 1, unless it's part of a specific archetype that needs to that it supports for, like Frieza's army, Golden Frieza, then it's going to be replaced by these new cantrips that have extra effects. And this one's extra effect is if your leader discards yellow, when this card is discarded from your hand by opponent's skill, play this card from your drop area. So if your opponent discards it, makes you discard from your hand, you can discard this, and if your leader's yellow, you play it from your drop, and then you trigger this ever to the draw 1. So you basically play the card, you play this card, and you draw a card back. So you lose nothing and gain this 5k combo. Really handy, and gives some kind of anti-hand destruction in the cube, and just even then nice cantrip. Then we have the next yellow card being SS Trunks to change the future. So this is mainly, you're not going to activate its evolve skill, because I don't think there's any Trunks future cards. Well, that's the thing, you can use this evolve skill because it doesn't specify a color for the Trunks future. So just for 1 yellow, you evolve on top of a Trunks future, which is could be handy. It gets you more because it gives, for 1 yellow you evolve on top of something else and get a barrier blocker, because you're not going to activate the activate main, because there's the leader that it specifies is not in the cube because it's not good for the cube. But it's just nice to have for free energy a barrier blocker as 20k, and more support for the Trunks future archetype as well. Then we have Android 17 and 18 Demonic Duo. So this is basically another Buttock Warcry, but kind of different. I say the Buttock Warcry because it's a 2-cost 10k for comboing, and its first effect is similar to Buttock, where if your leader card is yellow, at the end of a battle in which this card is used in combo, play this card from your drop area. And it's got Deflect and Dual Attack, which means it's not counter plays, I'm not going to do anything to it, and Dual Attack means you can get 2 swings of it. And sometimes Dual Attack is better than Double Strike, because if you want to attack multiple battle cards, Dual Attack is handier, but Double Strike is handier when you're going for damage on a Unison or a leader card. So both have their merits, but this is a lot handier for board management. And the other 2 autos, the second one is when this card is removed from your battle area by opponent's skill, you choose up to one of your opponent's cards to switch to rest mode. So any card at all, if they remove it by a skill, you get to tap down any of your opponent's cards, which then can trigger other things in like Poutine and stuff if you happen to draft them. Then the last auto is pretty good. Is once per turn you can choose one of your yellow Android battle cards, Switch it to rest mode when your opponent attacks. Sorry, just with anything, just when they attack, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and negate its skills for the turn. So this is really handy for if your opponent's going in with a big endgame triple striker or something like that. You can switch one of your yellow androids to rest mode, and it could be itself as well. It can target itself, and use negate the skills in your card for the turn, which is quite handy. And then we have the skillless cards for yellow. So this replaces the Ginyu. This replaces the Ginyu, and I think the Ginyu and the Tora skilllesses from my list, because they have more yellow android support. The more yellow androids and more skillless that can be actually used, because really, from what I saw from in my cube drafts, was the Tor never really got played. Like sometimes 30k skillless cards will be played, but not often. And Tor never got used off its alternative way, which is by a Goku negate, which I think was then taken out as well. The Ginyu was never really used because tapping free to have it for Golden Frieza was never that useful. And these ones are more handier to improve the yellow android stuff. Then we have one of the ever ones that are yellow android support for the cube, which is Android 60 Mechanical Partner. It's got two autos. First one is when this card is played, look up to 5 cards on top of your deck, add up to 1 yellow android card with energy cost of 3 or less, or up to 1 yellow unison with specific cost of 2 among them to your hand and shuffle your deck. So just like the Fascia, this gives you and the Berry Blue, this gives you searching for specific archetypes like the yellow androids, and also some more unison searching as well to make it a lot more help, a lot easier and more want to have those unisons in there. Like for yellow, I think the 2 unisons this could search is the Vegeta, and I can't remember the other one. I think there's 2 or 3 targets for this card, which is decent enough, and then quite a few targets for yellow android. There's several auto which could be handy. Is once per turn when this card is played, or switch to rest mode by one of your yellow card skills. Switch this card to active mode and it gains blocker until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this is handy. That just on when you play it, it becomes a one-drop blocker that can also search you with something. And if it survives or you don't use it as blocker, you can then tap down with something else yellow, like say the Android 17 and 18 we just saw, the free drop, by tapping this down to negate its skills and make it active with a blocker as well. Then we have Android 19 Bionic Punisher Unleashed. This is more skillless hate. So we have it's essentially the same as Cargo, which can KO a skillless card and draw a card and KO a skillless card. This is a bit more of a requirement, which is it's not too bad, which is when this card is played, draw one card and choose one of your opponent's skillless battle cards in rest mode and KO it. Most of the time, if your opponent has a skillless card, they're going to be swinging with it because he's going to leave a 20k or 30k skillless battle card in active mode and not attack with it. Unless you've done something to stop them from attacking with it, or made it so it's not worth attacking with it. It's normally going to be in rest mode, so it's nice removal for skillless, and also a never cantrip as well. And the last yellow card is the Power of the Super Saiyan. So this has 2 utilities. One as a counter attack, just for 1 yellow, negate the attack, and then has its activate battle. Its permanent can be used, where if you have one or more mono yellow cards, mono yellow in active mode, you can activate this card's activate battle skill from your hand without paying its energy cost. And the activate battle skill is if your leader card is mono yellow. So once again, helps mono yellow support if you're drafting a yellow leader with yellow as one of the colors you've drafted. You draw 1 card, then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards or unison cards and switch to rest mode. You can activate the activate battle skill on cards of this card for the turn. But that's okay because it's only going to be one in the cube. But it's also, again, this is a way to tap down unisons as well, and which is handy. Or tap down battle cards. If your opponent goes wide, you can either use it to negate if you fear a big tall swing coming in, or you can use an activate battle to tap down something else your opponent draws and potentially for free, and draw 1 card, which is really handy. But that's all for the video, and the last card from the update is the only black card being Deborah Ritual Hand. So once again, another card for anti-hand destruction, because of the fact of its first auto being auto for 1 energy. When this card is discarded from your hand by opponent's skill, play this card from your drop area. So this is colorless as well, so any deck can any color, any combination, or anyone can grab this and make use of it and give that hate for the hand destruction. Because his other autos, when its card is played, draw 2 cards. So it helps. It's handy as a counter to hand destruction, which there isn't too much in the cube, but there's enough that some people might not like it. But even then, even if you do draw it, just like the mirror, we have the burst 2 to draw 2, and it's a 20k free cost 20k. We have the Deborah, which is just a free cost 15k that draws 2. So I think there's 3 cards in the cube. There's the Android 18 in blue, the mirror in black, and this card in black, that all have the effect of when they're played, they can draw you 2 cards, which is handy. They're all free costs as well, but this one can be put down to 1 if it's discarded from your hand by opponent, and the android can be played as 2 if you use the old android leader, 1718. But that's it for the update on cube. So these are the cards I recommend from from set 13 are handy for updating in the cube, be it to add on or just switch out cards for it. But I'm gonna start doing this for every set. Do an update of cards I feel personally are good options for the cube that can be replacing old ones, or just as an idea of putting into the cube or replacing other cards in the cube. Thank you for watching once again. I'm gonna try and get the cube series back up with the archetypes. So I know it doesn't get many views or as much interest, but I feel it's still good to have it up for anybody like myself who enjoys the cube drafting in this game. Has there's some information out there for anybody interested in it. But thank you for watching. Feel free to like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment if there's any questions you have, and subscribe if you want to keep updated with content like this on my channel. I try to make it varied, and once I update my equipment, I'll have different videos of some different kind of videos like better gameplay and stuff on the channel for you. But thank you for watching this long video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.